Hi everyone, today is 12th January 2018. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
My name is Jonas and here I am with
My name is Deo.
Thank you, Deo. I am a student from College for America and I'm working on a project called Street Interview. In this project, I'm requested to make an interview in the street asking people a lot of questions or few questions about American government and their system of leadership. So in this project, I will submit them to CFA, which is College for America, and only reviewers will be able to see our videos, and it will be kept confidentiality. So don't worry, we are not posting it on YouTube without your consent. So my first question is this. Before I start my first question, do you have a consent?
No consent.
So you agree to be interviewed?
No problem.
Okay, thank you very much. My first question is, what are the branches of U.S. government?
The U.S. government is composed with three branches,
Yes.
which is executive, juridical, and executive.
Okay, thank you very much. So this is the second question. What does each branch do?
The branch of legislative representing the population of the U.S. and the juridical branch
Yes.
is concerning about courts,
Yes.
and the executive is composed with the leaders of U.S.
Yes, thank you very much. So here is the third question. Democrats and the Republican are the two major political parties in U.S. government. So do you know any third political party?
In the U.S., I know there is the two popular parties, but I think the third one can be the Liberty Party.
Right, that's it. Yeah, thank you very much. The last question is that there is a process by which a bill become a law. So, do you know any process or do you have any information about the law making?
Oh, I don't know any process of making a bill a law. So, don't know
That's
about
fine. So, thank you very much, Deo. You have made huge progress. You answered most of the question. Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
My name is Jonas, and here I am with Alain Yonchutis. Thank you very much. So I'm a student in Bachelor of Arts in College for America, and in this presentation I will be talking about American system of government. This project requires me to do a street interview with the people so that I can know their skills and the knowledge about government of United States of America. So do you have any question?
No.
So do you give a concern so that we can interview you?
Okay, no problem.
Yes, thank you very much. So my first question is, what is the branches of government? What are the three branches of USA government?
The three branches of USA government. I think USA, like most of the countries,
Yes.
that's three.
Yes.
The executive, legislative,
Yes.
and judicial.
Judicial. Thank you very much. So you got the right answer for that. So, but the second question is aligned with that one. So, what does each do? What does each branch of government do?
Okay. The legislative makes the law. The judicial, the judicial system punishes criminals who don't follow the law, and the executive enforces the law.
Thank you very much. You got it right too. So the third question is different from that. So Democrats and the Republican are the two major political parties in the U.S. government.
Yes.
So, but do you know any third political party?
Yeah. Yes. I think it's the Green Party.
Green Party. Thank you very much. The last question is that So there is a process by which a bill become a law. So a bill passes where and goes where, then finally becomes a law. Do you know that process?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, can you tell us?
I think first is from the people, and then from the people to the deputy chambers,
Yes.
and then from the deputy to the senators,
Yes.
and then from the senators to the president.
To the president. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's very fine. It starts from the people. I like the way you enforce that people also have the role in their government. Then the deputy and the senate will make a clarification on that, and they analyze that law. Then later they will send it to the president to sign it. Thank you very much. That's it.
Guys, you have heard about these people's comment about the American system of government. So now it's my time for commenting and correcting them where they made a mistake or adding some few information. But as you have heard, everyone, either they or Are, they have answered the first question perfectly. They said the American government has 3 branches of the government, which are legislative, judicial, and executive branch. So they get this very well. Everyone knows this branch. Most people of Rwanda know this branch too. So the second question, which asks what does each branch do, they all answered the 2 of them perfectly, but he didn't get to explain the judicial branch. He said legislative branch is made of deputy. In Rwanda, if you say deputy, compared to the US, it's like Congress, which includes both House of Representatives and the Senate. Branch of legislative create, execute, and interpret the law, according to collegeforamerica.nd. Here is role of committee in legislative. There is standing committee which consider and shape the vast majority of proposed laws. There is selected committee which study a particular issue. For instance, selected committee which were elected to investigate the assassination of John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King. collegeforamerica.nd. What I can comment on judicial branch is that it's headed by the Supreme Court, and they decide the case that rise under the law. They also analyze the law to make sure it's constitutional, according to votesmart.nd. Also, I can comment on legislative. Okay, I talked about legislative. The third branch is executive branch, which they all said they work for people. Yes, that's perfect. But they also it's the branch which is headed by the president, and they enforce the laws, make sure that people are abiding and respecting the law. The president sign or veto a law. Let's say that he got everything correct. He said executive enforces the law, judicial punishes the criminals, or they decide cases that rise under the law, as I said, and also legislative, they make the law. That's perfect. There is another thing you should know about this brand, how they works. This thing is called checks and balance, or connection of the 3 branches. The system for checks and balance works to keep separation of the power in 3 branches of the government. It helps to make sure that no branch exercise much power than others, and that the power of one branch can also be challenged by others. That's according to Mount 2011. First of all, the following are the check of legislative branch on executive branch. The legislative branch has the power to impeach and the trial power of House and Senate. The legislative branch also rejected the presidential votes, so that means that the veto of president can be rejected by legislative.
Legislative have power to declare the war. They can start the war anytime depending on the situation. Legislative also checks on judicial branch the following: Senate approves federal judges, power to initiate constitution amendments, power to set courts inferior to the Supreme Court. All those are the checks of legislative on judicial branch. Legislative can also checks on legislature itself, where it can work on bills must be passed by both House of Congress. House must originate revenue bills. Secondly, we can see the checks of executive branch. The executive branch checks on legislature, judicial, and executive itself in the following way. It has veto power, suspend appointment, it has the power to appoint judges, executive branch pardon power, executive branch vice president and the cabinet can vote that the president is unable to discharge his duty. Lastly, checks of judicial branch on legislative and executive, they have power for judicial review. Judicial has the power to review any judicial situation. Then Chief of Justice sits as President of the Senate during presidential impeachment.
Perfect. So Ari went ahead on third question and answered it that the third party in US is Green Party, whereas Deo said that the third party is Libertarian. I cannot say that they are out of the topic, but they are right, because those are the minority party or the other major party apart from the Republican and Democratic. So as my comment, the third party is minority or Green Party, though there are others like Libertarian and etc. In history, the other two parties, Democrats and Republicans, have been strong, and leader or high officials of America come from those parties. For supporters of the parties, people may reflect on the event that happened during the rule of one political party and then adjust to it. For instance, someone growing in 1990 will remember the scandal of Clinton rules and adjust to Democratic Party or Republican in any way. The last question of how a bill become a law, Deo was not able to answer it because he's not good at NRO. I understand him, and he didn't make research before that. But Ari tried to tell us in summary what the process. So he said it start from people to deputy chamber to Senate to wherever, and then finally to president, but he didn't give us more detail on that, so that's fine. He tried his best. So I like the way he said to start from the people. Yeah, actually people can also make the law. My comment regarding this, according to Vote Smart, the first step in the legislation is that legislation introduced and handed to the clerk of the house. Secondly, the presiding office introduced the bill during the morning hours to the Senate members. Third step is that committee work on bill and sets any amendments, revision, etc., and bring it to the floor. On the floor action, House and Senate place the legislation on the calendar and debate on the bill. Lastly, they vote for the bill, and if it doesn't pass, it dies from there. But if it does, the bill is sent to the president for review. When the president signs it, then it becomes the law. And if it's been 10 days, without his or her signature on the bill, then it doesn't become a law. President veto the bill and send it back to Congress with her reason. And if the Congress fix those reasons, then such a bill will later become a law under president. That's according to vetosmart.nd. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you in next videos.